Şimdi bilmiyorum girişimciler ve yatırımcılar var mı şu an salonda ama umarım vardır. Çünkü şahane bir yatırım paneli var. Panelimizi yönetecek kişi de aslında bir teknoloji yatırımcısı diyeyim, bu konuda uzman bir isim. Sevgili Gizem Sezer'i önce bir yanıma davet edeyim lütfen. Hepiniz bir tanıyın Gizem'i. Moderatörümüz olacak. Boğaziçi Ventures'ın da yeni yapay zeka fonunun ortaklarından Gizem.
Çok teşekkürler Çağla Hanım.
Yabancı yatırımları nasıl Türkiye'ye çekeriz diye bir panel yapacaksın. Evet. Panel İngilizce olacak. QR kodu okutmuşsunuzdur. Okutmadıysanız evet ekranda. Buradan arzu edenler Türkçe çeviriyi takip edebilirler. Şimdi 3 panelistimizi de çağırıyor muyuz?
Evet,
peki,
hemen çağırabiliriz.
Şahane. Herhalde ayakta interaktif bir konuşma yapacaklar. Bilmiyorum sandalye gelmedi ama sizin şansınıza da böyleymiş. Peki, Shum Singh, Can Bakır ve Haluk Nişli'yi bir alayım sahneye. Buyurun lütfen.
Hoş geldiniz.
Dinamik bir panel sizi bekliyor. Welcome. Hoş geldiniz. Shum. Peki. Hadi bakalım. Sahne sizin.
Teşekkürler. So, first of all, welcome for our panel, and thank you very much for your time and joining this session. We will discuss, during our panel, we will discuss some insights about how to attract foreign capital to Turkey and for Turkish startups. And I want to start with Shum, who joined us today all the way from Dublin for this event. Thank you very much. Before starting my question, if you can just briefly talk about yourself, that will be great, by the way. But my question is, when it comes to attracting the foreign capital to Turkey, especially in the context of AI, what do you see as the biggest opportunities and how does Turkey fit in this landscape?
Well, firstly, thank you for inviting me here. I've been coming here, so everybody knows, for 20 years. So I've seen the ecosystem grow significantly over the past 20 years. It's really exciting. A little bit about myself. So I run an investment bank called Ignicio Capital. We're fully regulated in the UK. We also have offices in Seattle and Barcelona. What we principally focus on is mergers and acquisitions and raising growth equity financing. But we've also done quite a few angel investments over the years. I think in relation to your question, I think it's important to just understand the size and scale of AI and then how it pertains to Turkey. The vast majority of funds that have been invested have been in US companies. I mean, we're talking probably 80, 70, 80% of all the capital flows that have gone into AI companies. Followed by Europe, which is obviously significantly smaller, and then China. So really, if you look at just these three regions, you're talking the vast majority, 95% plus. What does Turkey offer in relation to that? Well, in all of those markets, it's very expensive to run an AI company in terms of cost, labor, storage, and they're very, very competitive. So I think with respect to Turkey, you have a much more lower cost hub. You have good educational programs, you have very talented engineers here, and you have a lot less employee churn. And you also don't have major tech companies from the likes of Meta, Google, Microsoft trying to lure or poach your employees. The final point I think that's also really interesting is valuation. I think we're all aware of the absolutely stratospheric or insane valuations that some US companies are managing to secure right now, whether that's OpenAI, Anthropic, Grok, you name it. And Turkey, in comparison, you have relatively attractive valuations. So I think this is why Turkey can really be an attractive hedge when if you're an AI investor and looking to invest and deploy capital.
Thank you. And Haluk, if you can also briefly talk about your background, that will be great. And from the CVC perspective, how can corporates transform this strength into concrete capital inflow?
Yeah, thanks, Gizem, for this beautiful event and also for having us here. I'm Haluk, I'm the general manager of Inveo Ventures. We are an early stage tech venture capital firm based in Istanbul, having 22 portfolio companies in our portfolio and also 3 different fund investments. Actually, we believe in this region, and I think it's one of the hardest questions to answer right now because of the macro trends and micro trends. But as being a CVC, we really believe in the Turkish talent and the workforce in Turkey, and we believe that if we started to invest from here to Turkish startups, then as Shum had mentioned before, there is a huge upside for these kind of investments. And for the corporate venture capital perspective, and it's a brand new thing in Turkey, I think first of all, the corporate governance support and the financial help that corporates are providing for the startups are a very good aspect. Because if a CVC invests in a startup, and it's a hard thing to get it done via all the investment committees and all the decisions compared to the conventional investments, I think it's a good accreditation for a startup to get investment from the corporate investors and also foreign investors too. So maybe getting stamped by a corporate here will be a good thing for the follow-on investments for that startup. And also using that technology, using that product or service in the conglomerate of the investor is another aspect, because most of the startups are doing their first office applications, their POCs in the corporate part, and rather than only being an investor, it's also a product market fit verification for the startups. So if I were a foreign investor interested in Turkey's technological talent force and financial upsides, I think it will be the first place to look to the startups that had got investment from the CVCs.
And Shum, from your 25 years of M&A experience, especially in New York, London, and you know Turkey for a long time, you visited many times, how have global investors' perspective about Turkey evolved over that time, and what do you think drove that change?
Well, I'll use myself a little bit as an example. When I started coming here 20 years ago, I came for vacation. You know, it's a beautiful country, amazing history, culture, food. I wasn't really coming here thinking about business opportunities, being a tech banker and investor myself. I think things really started changing about 15 years ago when you started having your first crop of tech companies in e-commerce, as well as first local VCs getting established. So every couple of years, there's sort of a fundamental step up, and it could be in terms of exits. You know, then you had companies like Getir. You know, then of course gaming just exploded, and then more recently you have fintech, SaaS. So I think Turkey's really established itself as a tech hub. And I think that'll only set to continue. You already have foreign investors coming here, tier one, I should say, foreign investors from Silicon Valley, from the UK, from other parts of Europe investing. I think that'll only continue. Yeah.
Thank you very much. And Can, together with your background, can you, I mean, building on that, which strengths in Turkey's AI and deep tech ecosystem could most effectively reshape the Turkey's, global perception?
Well, first of all, thank you for having us here. I'm Can Bakır. I'm leading the AI Startup Factory on behalf of İşbank. What we do is we have 2 main arms of businesses that we are focused on. First is investments. As Haluk, we invest in early to scale-up stage startups. On Monday, we've closed another deal. So as of today, we have 28 investments. And now they're valued over, the full value is over $2 billion. So there is some interest in that regard. And the second business that we do is we also have accelerator programs, mostly for the ones that, mostly for the startups that we invest in. We help them with their growth agendas, expanding globally, and finding partners for them. And with that said, well, first of all, I think on the AI ecosystem, I think with the AI coming in, it reshuffled the deck of cards on the table for everybody, because previously I think when we look at it from a macro level, it's like the internet, the cloud, the mobile, basically everything that changed our lives, they all came from the West, right? So more specifically from the West Coast. But whereas with AI, we see that it's happening everywhere almost at the same time. A lot of countries, regions, investing AI on their own AI. So I think, you know, that means that we're going to see some shifts within the region as well. When we specifically look at Turkey, well, as you know, maybe in addition to what you guys said, like the talent and what's happening here, maybe I can add two more things. Well, first of all, maybe the strong academia. I think we have good universities, great professors, not only in Turkey, but professors all around the world, working especially on stuff related to AI. On all our trips, we get to meet them, and there are prominent universities working on things, both innovation and invention. So I think in that regard, we're in a very good space. And secondly, I could say, with the young population we have, not only we have good talent, but also a lot of users, right, for the stuff that we're gonna build. So I think that creates a good test bed. For instance, I used to work for Peak Games for a while, and during that time, we weren't making the biggest revenue, but we were the third biggest gaming company at that time, mostly because of the users that we had in this region, and that really fine-tuned our, gaming metrics and what we were doing with our games, so that eventually we could bring them to, different countries, expand them globally. So that really helped. Maybe on a final note, on the AI part, this past January, we did this big AI event. We've invited 100 AI companies, all Turkish, all generating revenue, which means they have their product already in the market. We had a big event such as this, and it was very proud to see, even if on its third year of this whole transformation, we already have 100 Turkish AI companies already generating revenue. I think that also tells something about the future as well.
It's probably more than the US.
Well, we'll see.
So, Shum, you also seen many Turkish startups recently, and you have some close relationships as well. When global investors evaluate Turkish AI startups, which proof points stand out the most, like talent, tech, or traction, or something else? What do you think?
I think it's probably a combination. I mean, John, you made some really important points there regarding education. So world-class education. You have a very young and I would say entrepreneurial mindset. That's something that's just cultural.
Just a small point, by the way. Turkish ecosystem right now is the #1 in terms of entrepreneurial activity in the EMEA region, so it's a good point.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
I think if you look at all of the dynamics, I mean, cost is a major factor as well. As we kind of mentioned it earlier, you're paying an engineer here a fraction of the cost you would for someone on the West Coast or in London or other AI hubs in the world. And I think so then the focus is on, rather than building something super disruptive, the focus is on product market fit and generating revenue. And so I think there's a little bit more of focus on the commercial aspects. How can you use agents? How can you use generative AI to actually make money, get some customers, get some, as you said, early proof points? So I think all of that together is really interesting. I just want to add one last thing also is, certainly in the gaming space, the government incentives. So you have tax incentives, marketing incentives, which are huge. And this is a major contributing factor why I think gaming companies, particularly in the mobile gaming space, are world class. It's really, really tough if you don't have those marketing and tax incentives in other countries to compete with Turkey.
Yeah, great, thank you. And Can, beside all these like proof points and our strength, where should Turkish startups prioritize their focus to improve, to win foreign capital? What do you think?
Well, I mean, you already said the 3 T's, right? Talent, technology, and traction. But I mean, we invest in startups with global ambitions, and it could happen 2 ways, right? First of all, inward. So, for an investor that's trying to get a strategic space within Turkey, or maybe in their region, so that's an outward one, so a Turkish company going abroad. Well, in both cases, I think, talent is definitely important, but traction at the end of the day, I think, makes the decisive decision for the investors. But what we see, especially when we go abroad and when we are, what we hear about after these investment talks, is that they look for traction, and I think that's where most of these startups have a hard time, because they either built their product here in Turkey, maybe they've tested it here, but taking it abroad is something else. On most cases, they require boots on the ground, so they have to be physically there doing the sales. But with that said, I think what they can actually sell their product there, but what they lack is either network or the funding there. So that's why this past June, we've decided to change our investment thesis. So if we invest in bigger tickets now into startups, so that they can actually show that traction abroad as well, because the money is a little bit different there, right? So we hear these billion-dollar seed stage investments. As we were talking like yesterday, billion is the new million. So whereas in Turkey it's a little bit different, so abroad it's different. So with that said, maybe I'll just say this. Abroad, they need to have the boots on the ground. They need to have a sales force. What we see good traction is maybe with good partners there. I mean, the startups that we've already invested with good traction outside is already using a lot of good partners there. So I think that's maybe what they should be after, maybe just to be a little bit more concrete.
Good point, thank you. And Haluk, looking at this Turkey's ecosystem, what do you think the most critical friction points, and I mean, what is holding foreign capital, and how can we maybe improve it? Like, is it regulation, scale, exits? What do you think?
Yeah, actually, I was looking at my numbers. Actually, we quote the ratio of the foreign investment to Turkish startups when it was in 2020. We were affected by the macro trends, of course, after the COVID era. And now foreign investors started to take some attention in Turkey. And they are a bit afraid when it comes to early stage investments. They are more involved in the later stage, Series A, Series B, compared to our investments. And they're mainly interested in gaming and fintech. 63% of the total investments of the foreigners are going to that place. So we have to find new verticals. And I think if Turkey did it in gaming and fintech, I think there will be more verticals to start from here and then upsell and scale it back to global. So it was all about the macro trends, and for the internal trends, I think they are also looking for the more predictable environments. That's what we are looking when evaluating a startup's financials too. We want to learn more about the future, looking from today's perspective. So, of course, there have to be a more stable environment, including political risks and volatility in the region. And also, I think I'm also agreeing with what Can had said. They have to upsell what they are selling here. And pretty much of the startups are doing business with the global companies, which have offices around the world. So start selling from here and try to sell it above. Of course, it's easy to say, but I think it will be also helping all the non-domestic investment environment to come back again to Turkey, because we have once indulged that, and I think it will be another cycle that we will be taking benefit of.
Great. And what must Turkish, again, Haluk, for you, what must Turkish startups demonstrate to attract not only VCs but also strategic corporates?
Actually, I was a startup late founder, as you know, and when we were talking with the foreign investors or to get attention from abroad, one of our biggest competitors and also having a CVC side to invest us had told us that you have to grab our attention by hurting us. You have to take some market share. Our salesperson, our business development representatives should come to us and say that, look, these are selling better than us, and these are providing post-sale support better than us. Because in Turkey, B2B sales, every investor is searching for B2B sales, but it's not easy and it's taking time. And even the corporates are not ready to buy what startups are offering right now because they don't have the clear KPIs in their conglomerates to do business with startups. So I think it's easier to be in the same mindset with the global investors, but we have to sell in their region and tell them that we are dangerous for us because that's the point that they are going to be interested in investing in that particular company. I have experienced that. And also the technology part is very important because everyone is talking about the talent of Turkey, engineering mindset of Turkey. We have to maybe do more showcases, more events like this to make them understand what we have been producing here in terms of technology. We are not very good at selling what we are doing as per products and as services. So we as a united force, I think will be there to tell what we are doing.
Good point. Thank you very much. And Can, do you believe after gaming, of course, AI can become the sector that delivers Turkey's first large-scale foreign exits? You also have one portfolio company. They are right now a unicorn company, I know. But do you believe we will have large foreign exits in AI?
Well, I hope so, first of all, but I also think we will have much more because we're still in the early stages of AI investments, and there is a lot yet to be seen. But yes, you know, as a Turkish citizen, you know, we already have a proud moment. We had Fall AI with its last round becoming a unicorn company, and also this past week, I think, you know, Periodic Tables also just secured a $300 million investment, also becoming another unicorn. So this has already begun, and I think it's going to go forward. Because I think, you know, we've already talked about we have good founders, we had good engineers. So I think we're going to see more of this. And also, again, during our visits abroad, I've also met a lot of good foreign engineers working for these, again, big AI companies as well. They're already huge, and they are getting that experience. And I think, you know, we're going to have that, talent going into these AI companies as well. So I think that's going to be a great asset. Regarding gaming, that when I was working for Peak Games, I'll tell a little story from there. I mean, right now gaming is very obvious, right? Turkey is the hub. Everybody talks about it. We already have many unicorns coming out from that sector. But when I was at Peak Games, it was still very new, and I think we may be the only big gaming company at that time. I remember this meeting with a Nordic company, the CEO of the company. We were just, it was just a casual talk. But behind the scenes, we were talking among each other. The experience of the owner was, he was 35 plus years into gaming. And at that time, Peak Games was a company of maybe 200 employees. And when you add the experience of all that 200 people, it didn't add up to 35. So just one guy had much more experience than the whole company we had. That's how the gaming industry started. This is, by the way, 2014, so almost like 10 years ago. And look at where we are today. So I think the same thing will happen in AI because of the reason I just told before, because I think we reshuffle the cards again, and we have even a much bigger chance than gaming at AI. So hopefully, yes, we will see a lot more.
Great. We are also motivated with this. So Shum, based on what you heard from the fellow panelists and your experience, do you think Turkey's ecosystem is strong enough to draw foreign capital, or we are still a few steps back? What do you think?
I mean, you already have tier one VCs investing here. Certainly at the Series A and Series B level, I think that's where a lot of companies here in Turkey need support. I mean, you have really good early stage investors here, but I think, when you're raising 5, 10, 15, 20 million, you definitely need to attract foreign capital because you don't necessarily have a lot of that institutional support here locally. And that's already happening. We talk about gaming, right? So you have Menlo Ventures, Balderton, Index, have top tier one VCs already, and they're going to continue investing. I'm aware of already a couple of them talking to some other gaming companies right now. But now also with AI, with fintech, with SaaS companies, I think they're already here. It will be interesting to see more at a later stage. I don't think, again, I think that it's sort of directly correlated to the fund sizes of your local firms. As the fund sizes get bigger of local firms and they're able to raise, $200, $300, $400 million funds, then they can start doing the Series A and Series B investments on their own. And then maybe you start partnering up at a growth equity stage or later stage with foreign venture capital firms. I mean, ultimately, more exits means more interest.
That's right.
Yeah.
So, just one last question for all of you. If we look for 5 years ahead, what do you think Turkey's success would look like attracting the foreign capital? What are your estimations?
Yeah, hopefully exits from our portfolio in 5 years will be the best thing. But yeah, I think there will be a better market from today because there will be lesser risks, hopefully, both inside and outside of the country. And I guess what we need to reach there is, of course, doing more investments and having all the regulatory support and incentives also including the foreign investors as per tax advantage incentives and stuff, because we are experiencing what the countries in the GCC zone are doing right now, and we have to provide better examples for foreign investors to come here because we are just like an hub there, both close to the western part and eastern part of the world. It's basic math. And definitely we have to have more success stories because the number one problem about the VC investments is liquidity, and liquidity is the major concern of the LPs. And as we see, besides the DFIs, the usual suspects, all the foreign investors are not very, not taking many risks to invest in Turkish funds too. So I think the number one priority is having more success stories, and we as Turkish people are used to talk the bad stories rather than the good stories, but as Shum said, we have good stories too. What we do is having a more stable environment here, more incentives and more investments, I guess.
Anything to add on? Yeah.
Yeah, maybe we should ask Shum.
Yeah.
How can we have you more in Istanbul or Turkey? Just like.
Well, I'm coming anyway. That's easy. I want to bring up two examples that are also not that far away from Turkey. Israel and India. They started, obviously, their local technology industries much earlier, and you had a lot of local investors and VCs. So yes, they established their local VC industries much earlier. But who says the same thing can happen here? And I think for both of those countries where you had a real turning point is when you had large mega VCs from the US or UK or Europe set up offices, branch offices in those countries, everything explodes. And so that, I think, will be the defining event. When you have a foreign US tier one or European tier one VC, or even Asian, who knows, come and set up here, allocate capital, have probably a mix of foreign and local partners investing, I think that will transform the industry.
Wow. Thank you. And maybe, I believe in the same thing because we still get excited when we hear about these, very nice big deals. But I believe, in 5 years' time, if this was, a more reliable, repeatable success, I think, for me, that would be the biggest threshold that we need to pass, I think. And I'm also a big believer in communities. So I think how we will achieve that is through communities like we did in gaming, because we had the developers, we had the talent, we had the investment and all. So I hope the foreign investment will come to Turkey, not as, out of curiosity, but out of conviction. So.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your answers and your insights.
Well, thank you for having us.
Thank you.